Well, happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to another Solid Academy live stream. My name is Nathan Ingram. I am the host here at Solid Academy, and delighted that you are joining us for this, the February 2025 plugin roundup here on the Academy. As usual, we took a look across all of the plugins that were released in the last 30 days or so in the WordPress plugin directory, and we picked about a dozen that we thought were interesting. As usual, the disclaimer comes that none of these have been thoroughly vetted for security or code quality or any of those sorts of things. We just found them interesting. And yes, these are likely plugins that have very low installs because they're pretty new for the most part in the plugin directory. And that's our purpose. We like to uncover hidden gems in the WordPress directory and bring those onto you. We've been doing this for more than 10 years, and I'm glad to have another month with you today. Now, as we get started, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that one of the biggest plugins in the WordPress space, which is WooCommerce, the Woo team has released their new logo, and it's snazzy. Look at that. There is actually a version of this that's animated where the two O's in Woo go underneath the W, and it looks kind of like a shopping cart. It's kind of cool. But one thing you will definitely notice is that now here in the WordPress backend, the Woo logo is updated to the new Woo logo. There you go. So there you have it. They did keep the famous Woo purple, of course. So yeah, I guess that's big news in the plugin space. Just a couple of notes. If you're just now joining us, open up the Zoom chat and say hello. I'm going to drop in our link bundle for you one more time there. If you're watching this on the replay, you can download this PDF with all the plugins and their appropriate links just below the video with the download handout button or link. Also, I want to invite you to look at that link that is there, the second one there in the link bundle, because tomorrow we will be having a Solid Security setup clinic that is 1 to 2 Central, the same time frame. And Solid WP's David Johnson will be with us walking through settings in Solid Security, answering your questions and just explaining what's what of the major settings there in Solid Security. So this is a free live stream, and I would invite you to register for it if you haven't already. You can also just hang on to that URL or just look at the live stream library, because that same link, you'll find the replay of that event will be right here that you can rewatch if you're unable to join us live. We get a lot of requests for how-tos on setting up Solid Security, so we're going to be doing more of these Solid Security live streams every month. Stacy, it's going to be a blend of both the free and the pro versions of Solid Security tomorrow. Okay, well, let's dig into our plugin list, shall we? By the way, if you are a Solid Academy Premium member, you can suggest a plugin. There's a link there. You do have to be logged in, but please suggest plugins. We would appreciate it. We did get a couple this month, one from Paul and one from Ben, but for various reasons, we didn't add those to the roundup. They were okay. Some of them had problems. All right, let's talk about the first one, which, I mean, you can't get enough emojis, right? Maybe, maybe not. This one's not bad, though, okay? Particularly if you have a blog or you have any sort of site where you're wanting to get some feedback from users, here's a really fun little plugin that's going to add an emoji response block to the bottom of your posts. So let's get started here with awesome emoji react, because you have to say awesome if it's awesome, right? Anyway, so it, of course, I added my own emoji here. It adds a top-level menu item, which, if you've been around Plugin Roundup for a while, you know that's not my favorite thing. But under here in the top-level menu item, you do get to choose your active emojis. So here's a few that we placed just as examples, but you have access to all the emojis that you can just add and keep stacking them right across. You also have the ability to set the background color of the emoji area. Let's make it a little darker just because. And you can also decide whether or not you have to be logged in to leave feedback. So with this, let's just go to I believe it's the first, is it the post that I have here? That I think it's the first post. No. Oh, you know what? I set up a page for this. It can go anywhere. This is a block. And you find it by, like any other block, if you just start typing emoji or something like that, you'll find emoji reactions block. That is here. It's already there. One other thing before I show you what it looks like, there is supposedly a short code for this if you're not using the block editor for whatever reason. It's not working right now. And that's a simple thing that the developer's likely going to fix very soon. But as the block, it works. And here's what it looks like. Look at that. So why don't everybody go to this page and let's give us an emoji reaction. I mean, how fun is that, right? I don't know. Feeling kind of devilish today. It does let you, oh, it knows who you are and you can select one. So one other person has voted the emoji. And you know, I had other emojis that might express your feeling about this one. But anyway, could be fun if you've got a post or some kind of content that you would like to get, have some fun response on. I could see this being fun for a member site or something like that, where you've got some. Yes, you can only pick one. All right. So that is awesome emoji reactions. You can decide whether or not that's awesome. All right. Next on our list, there's been a flurry of debug type tools. This one is admin debug tools, and it's going to bring into the WordPress admin your debug log and let you toggle on and off WP debug. Now we'll see if this is working today. The plugin works fine. There's some issue, and you may remember this if you've been on any of our live streams where I've been working in WP Nathan. There's something going on where the WP config is locked down from WordPress. I've tried multiple things to fix this, but it may not give us access to the WP config. But we'll see how this works. It will work on yours. Admin debug tools right here. And that will give us the admin debug tools debug log. All right, so right here, we've got a bunch of stuff in our error log. This was a plugin that I tested and it was broken. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff here. This will allow you to toggle on logging, and see, I'm getting an error. It won't let me get into the WP config. It's a security setting on this server that WP Nathan's running on. Not sure what's going on there. You will likely not have that issue, but it lets you toggle on and off your logging. You can also, look here, clear the log. Boom, it is now, it's clear. But see here, if you clear the log while you're testing, it will save the log to that point in a file so you can go back and refer to it if you like. So pretty cool stuff here. You do also have this toggle WP debug, and see, it's not letting us, it's just not giving us access to the WP config. And that's a security issue or some sort of a server level setting on the server. Anyway, this is admin debug tools. If you're debugging something, this is a nice way to toggle it on and view your results right here in the WordPress admin dashboard. Questions or comments about this one? Pretty neat. You can actually download the log file right here as well. You can make it full screen. It's kind of cool. Oh, also you can search. So, line contains some string of text. Is it all or just, warnings or whatever, or just errors? Yeah, it's got a lot of tools to help you get through your debug. All right, any questions or comments on admin debug tools? Okie dokie. Scrolling down the list, here's a nice little toolbox plugin called Exclude Search. Now, a toolbox plugin is one that we find that's kind of, it's a limited use sort of, it has a specific function, and you probably aren't going to use it on every site, but this one is pretty interesting. The Exclude Search plugin allows you to exclude certain post pages, custom post type, whatever, from the WordPress search. Now you can do this with code, but this gives you a UI to do it. So here is exclude search. All right, right here, look here. So here's all of the pages on our site. Here's all of the posts, even WooCommerce products, and this custom post type we've called books. So let's say for whatever reason we don't want that post to be findable if someone searches for it in WordPress. Well, we can save the changes, and if we try to search for that topic, it doesn't come up. So we've searched for the term ASP and it doesn't come up. If we exclude this, we get our topic. Isn't that interesting? So it gives you the option to toggle on and off all the things that you want not to show up in search. Sue, would that differentiate between logged in and out users? No, this is basically unsetting that particular post from the WordPress search results. It does not search the media library. So this is also, quick note, this impacts the core WordPress search function only. We're not talking about SEO here. So this doesn't exclude that page, for example, from a Google search. To do that, you'd want to have some sort of SEO plugin that lets you set that as a no index page. So this is the internal WordPress search only. But oftentimes, you know, there are certain pieces of content that you don't want to be findable in a search, like terms and conditions pages and privacy policies, those sorts of things, or your thank you pages. You may not want those to show up in your search. Any other questions or comments on this one? So it can be super useful if that's what you're after. It's a pretty simple, straightforward UI. And if you have a bunch of pages, you can just search for the one you're looking for. All righty. Scrolling down the list. The next one here is called multiple post passwords. Multiple post passwords. Now, this is a very helpful plugin if, let's say, here's a case where you want to give people access to a page or a page in WordPress, but you want certain people to have different passwords. So maybe you don't want a full username, password, user account, but you might want different passwords for different users. So what we're talking about here, actually, let me activate the multiple post passwords. Activate. First step to using a plugin is activating the plugin. All right, so multiple post passwords. Now, this is for the situation here where you want to use the password protection option here. So our first step is we're going to set a password. I'm just going to call this test and save this. So it is now password protected, meaning that if I view this on the front end, logged in or not, it's going to require a password to unlock it. Now, once I do this, I need to refresh the page, and then there will be a new box that appears for additional passwords. So with the core WordPress password protected page function, you only get the one password, which shows up here. With this plugin, I wish this would stop. With this plugin, you get the box where you can add multiple passwords, one per line. So we'll just say test 1, test 2, or test with a capital T, because maybe they capitalized it or they're using a phone and it capitalized the character. So now we can access this with TEST1, and that will unlock the page for us. So this gives us multiple passwords within the core WordPress password protection function. without having to set up user accounts or any of that. Now, there are a couple of other settings here, and this one's kind of cool. Look at this. We can delete passwords after a certain amount of time. So let's say for some reason we just want to add these extra passwords for 24 hours or, 168 hours in a week. You can also set it up to send you a notification when WordPress removes those passwords. So kind of cool. If you got a ton of different passwords, you can, they have a different method for cycling through those passwords that should speed things up. So that is multiple post passwords. I'm actually using this on a client site right now for various reasons, and this fit perfectly. Questions or comments about this one? Multiple post passwords. No. Okay, so is it posts or pages? That's a good question. I believe that this password protected feature, yeah, it works on posts and pages. This is core WordPress. So posts, pages, probably custom post types as well. Not sure if WooCommerce products support this or not. No, yeah, right here. So if we save this product and make it password protected, yep, we get the additional box. So it works on custom post types too. So it's this core password protect feature. Thanks for that question. I had not thought to investigate that. All right, anybody else on this one? Could be super useful. Again, given that opportunity of needing something like this. All righty. Like for me, for example, I had a client that set the password to a page that was kind of private, but not like ultra private, to a word, and people kept failing because they were typing it with a capital letter. So this lets us have both options. It's a great workaround for that. Okay, next one on the list is a YouTube block by dblocks. So this is a lazy load YouTube block from the dblocks team right here. This is a really cool YouTube block. Oh, again, first step to using a plugin, activating the plugin. Now we'll have our block. All right, so let me just save the page. I put some content ahead of these because, and we can't really see it actually, but it is lazy loading all of this content. So it's not pulling in anything until we get it into the viewport. So that's one thing this plugin does. Let me back up a second. The problem this is trying to solve, if you've ever done speed optimization on a page where a YouTube video is embedded, then you've noticed that it loads a ton of scripts and stuff for that video before it even, whether it's played or not. And that also could create some privacy issues if your site has to be compliant with GDPR or some other privacy regulation. So this stops all of that script loading from happening, which helps with privacy. It also helps with speed, and it gives us a couple of other features as well. It's just a good block. So right here, look what we have some options here. Our thumbnail. So by default, by the way, it pulls in the YouTube thumbnail for that video to display here before the video is clicked. So we get a static image, which is going to load a lot faster than a video. And we get to set the quality of that image, whether it's gigantic or just, regular size. Also, we have these player icons. So these are the canned ones. And notice as I'm changing these on this block, the other block is updating too. That's because this is odd. I don't think I know of another block that does this. When you make a selection here, it globally updates. So it's kind of good and bad. Like I think you probably want all your play icons to look the same. So if you change the way they look on one block, all the blocks now look like that. But also you don't have the ability to make the two play buttons look different if you wanted that. But anyway, so you can set the block that you want. You can also change its size, and you have color options. And again, all that updates right there. So pretty cool. You can also, by the way, if you don't like any of these preset icons, you can upload your own custom SVG, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so that's the way this works. And save it, and you've got blocks. And it plays in space. This is our December 24th solid plugin roundup. So yeah, that is dblocks lazy load for YouTube. Jeffrey, yes, this has been a problem, right? Lazy loading for speed and privacy is a big deal. And yeah, these folks have solved it. So good block, free block right there in the WordPress plugin directory. Other questions or comments on this one? If you're just coming in to join us, the link for all the things is there in the chat. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's kind of fun. This is a plugin called Text Swap. How many of you have had a client call you and say, we need to update the phone number on the entire site? And that's a process, right? There may be hundreds of pages on the site, and it might take you some time, but they want it done yesterday. So this is a plugin that lets you put in a string of text and then another one, and it'll swap dynamically all of that text on the front end of the website. This does not make any database changes. So ultimately, you'll probably want to go back and actually do real changes on the site. But for a quickie change, this is going to update the front end output. So it's using jQuery as a page renders to find and replace certain text. Now, this is different than what is Jonas saying in the chat, find and replace, or like better search replace. That's a plugin that's actually going to go in and do a database search replace. This is actually just adding some jQuery on top of your page render to replace it dynamically until you can go in and actually do the real replacement. Now, it is using jQuery, and like Vern is asking in the chat, is it a performance issue? Could be if you have a bunch of terms that you're trying to update. If you got 1 or 2 or 10, probably not a big deal. If you have 100, you might start to see, you know, a tenth of a millisecond or something. It's pretty quick no matter what. Let's see how it works. So text swap, again, creates a top-level menu, which I just love. And it's letting right here, you can decide where it's going to work. Now, one little problem here, and this is something that's a developer request, they only have posts, pages, and widgets. Be great, and it wouldn't be difficult to pull in all the custom post types that have been defined by WordPress right here. So right now, just posts and pages. And it's a simple thing. Let's search for this and put in yay fixed. Add the rule. And there it is. So if we search for this, oh, it may not work in the page title. I bet it doesn't work in the, nope, doesn't work in the page title. So we do have here testimonials are changed to rave review. So that's on the front page of the site. And down here, so we have rave reviews. If we delete this rule and take that out, the original is testimonials. Or let's update WP Nathan to, I don't know, WP Melanie. I just see Melanie posting in the chat. And so there it is. Now, this on the back end of the site, if we edit this page, you'll still see nothing has changed in the database. I don't know if this is the kind of fame you want, Melanie. But anyway, it's still the same here, but when we render it on the front end, it's getting updated. questions in the chat. So Q is asking, will it still work if JavaScript is turned off? Yes, because this is jQuery, not JavaScript. Well, I say yes, I think. You'd have to test that. It should be handled differently than typical JavaScript. Vern, is this stuff executed in the user's browser? This is executed in the user's browser. Yep. Not server side. So pretty neat, could be super helpful because it is, as far as accessibility goes, because this is actually changing the text in the DOM. Like if you look at this in, the HTML, it's rendering what it updated to. So there shouldn't be any issues with accessibility. Also, does it have any negative effect on SEO? Well, I mean, it depends on what the text is. In other words, will Google ding the site because you're using this? No, they shouldn't. I mean, who knows what Google's going to do, right? But this, as far as I know, doesn't violate any, law that Google has put into place. It's a fairly it's just a jQuery search replace, find replace. It's a very common thing that is used in web development. And as far as what AI is, the same thing. As far as AI or Google is concerned, this is the text that's on the page. Yep. Roy's asking, can I screw up my non-site pages? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Yeah, so Stacy is correct. Oh, and that's why I said from the beginning, ultimately, this is a Band-Aid. I would not just run the site like this forever. It's going to be better if you go back and do a real search and replace. But yeah, as a Band-Aid, this is really helpful. All right, so that is text swap. Any other questions, comments, arguments, snide remarks? Okie dokie. Next up on our list is another Toolbox plugin, which is called Font Stripper. So Font Stripper, no jokes, please. How many of you have ever had something like this happen? It doesn't happen as much in the block editor. I see it a lot in Beaver Builder, and it looks like this. This is a block of text that came from a Google Doc that a client supplied. And when you copy and paste from a Google font, often you get these spans with a font weight stuck in there. Isn't this annoying? Has anybody else experienced this? Or when you paste from a legit word processor like Microsoft Word or something, drops right in here. And so this overrides, I mean, it's an inline style. And so this, even if the text is bold, it's still going to get a font weight applied to it of a different weight. Or it could even be other font characteristics like font family, font size, font weight, line height, and color. So, a lot of times that shows up, especially in the classic editor, right? So watch what happens. I'm going to save this. And we can see it outputting here in the DOM. There's our font weight right there. So let's activate Font Stripper. Or did I already? Oh, no, I didn't. Let's activate Font Stripper. Now, what I'm going to have to do is edit and resave this page. Because that when I saved the page, it just ran basically some code that's going to strip out all that stuff from the front end of the site. And now look, now this is imperfect, but now there's just a span. There is no font declaration. This inline span I can live with, but it's taken that font declaration out. And this is done in PHP as the page is rendered. So yeah, there we go. Font family, font size, all of this. Again, this is another one of those that doesn't affect the database content, but it does remove it by PHP, not jQuery, as the page renders. So there won't be any speed issues on this. I wish he would have made it affect the database, but and there's you could literally drop that plugin in ChatGPT and ask it to update the database, and ask it not to leave any empty paragraph tags or span tags. It's basically just it's looking at this rendering and stripping that stuff out. So it works really well, and it deals immediately with this pasted vestigial markup that comes from a lot of different garbage, a lot of garbage that comes from different software products. Yeah, and so like some of you are mentioning, I do the same thing. Like I'll copy out of a word processor and either paste it in the text side or the HTML view of the text area in the browser, or I'll run it through a code editor. Like for me, it'd be Nova or Notepad++ or whatever. Brad is asking, does pasting Control-Shift-V work the same? I'm not familiar with that, Brad. You may have just taught us all something. I don't know what that does. Text only, it may do the same thing. Yeah, I'm not, that may be, okay, well, how about that? That's a new one on me, and I've been doing this forever. So there's so many times I've come across places where clients have updated content and they've dropped something in from some tool and it's got all this garbage on there. A lot of fun. Yep. Melanie, Command-Shift-V on the Mac. All right, so that is Font Stripper, brand new plugin. Danny Cooper, any questions or comments on that one before we move on? Everything, yeah, Q, it's everything on the page. As the page renders, it's adjusting with PHP the rendering of that page and stripping out the inline code, the inline markup for these things. All righty, let's keep going here. The next one, this is fun, and actually some themes do include this. This is called Heading ID Copy. So wouldn't it be nice if you were able to have linkable IDs automatically for every heading that is used on your page? That way, if you wanted to link directly to that portion of the page, you can do that. So it would be, whatever /# and then the name of the ID for that heading, and it would load right at that point. So this plugin does that for you automatically if your if your theme doesn't include that functionality. So let's just jump over to that page. We'll activate heading ID copy. Thank you for the translation there, Sherry. Well, I thought I had a page for this, and apparently I do not. So let us go find something that has multiple headings on a page. All right. So here is, all right. So there are a couple things here. First, if we take a look at this heading, you will notice that there's now an ID created that is essentially the content of the heading with spaces separated by dashes. So we could just scroll on down the page here, and probably you're familiar with this, but copy this ID, and the link to that exact ID is here. And if you load the page, it loads with that at the top, right? Now, this plugin also renders these links by default, which I think is silly, but it does that. And there is, though, a setting that will display it to administrators only, which I think is the better use of this. Yes, Q, this is an anchor. So if we look at this, we don't see the links anymore, which I think is a little cleaner. So we can copy this link, go right here, and it takes us right to that point of the page. Very, very helpful. So this does it automatically. All you have to do is turn it on. The developer just released this plugin. It's a very simple plugin, but could be super helpful, especially if you have frequent content where you're trying to link to an exact spot on a page. Very helpful. And I actually made the suggestion to the programmer just yesterday to add this option to display to administrators only. And they published it last night. So pretty cool. So that is heading ID copy. Isn't this anchor option already in WordPress core for block themes? Good question. It may be. It used to be theme dependent. Now with the plugin off, no, it is not. So some themes do this, but by default, no, not in core. Might be a good core feature. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, or snide remarks about heading ID copy? All righty, scrolling on down. Here's another fun tool for your toolbox. This one is called Bulk Remove All Internal Links in WordPress. Have you ever had a site where you've completely changed all of the structure in the site and there's links everywhere to things and they no longer work and it would just be better to wipe it all clean? This is what's going to do that. So basically, but this is a destructive tool. Okay. So make sure you back up your database first, because what this tool is going to do is go through your entire database of content, every post, page, custom post type, product, whatever it is. It's going to look for internal links, like you've selected text, you've made a link to some other URL on the current site, and it's going to remove those. The text says the link is gone. Now, it does give the option, if you're using some sort of affiliate linking source like your domain /go/ something, it gives you the option to exclude that. So let's see. We're going to bulk remove. Is that a tool? Where? Settings and remove internal links. Okay. So right here, now this is a one and done sort of thing. So if I want to go through my posts and I want to remove all the internal links. So for example, right here, here's this post, and I had at one point, this is a link to the homepage, and we're just going to link to our homepage like we normally would, right? If we run this tool, it only works on posts and pages currently. It'd probably be very simple to add other custom post types as well. No affiliate link prefix. I'm just going to click remove links. It just went through all my posts, and it will have removed this link when we refresh the page. Boom. So again, not something you may do frequently, but I've had sites where we've had to go in and manually change hundreds of links that didn't really matter anymore. Maybe some of the content was even removed. This is a great way just to start from scratch. Elizabeth is asking, will it wipe out the menus? No, because we're dealing with page post content. We're not dealing with anything, in the headers, footers, or widgets, or, modules or blocks or anything like that that are outside of the post content itself. This could save you a ton of time if you got to do something like this. So this is bulk remove all internal links in WordPress. All right. Moving on down the list to user bulk delete with preview. So another one of these toolbox type plugins. This one I really like. Let me show you how this one works. This one, we're in the middle of rebuilding an ancient site with many users, and maybe some need to be culled. This is a great way to do that. User bulk delete. So we're going to go to the top level menu. All right. So look here. Look at all the options you have. I'm going to find users according to a certain criteria. Now, you can just select users one at a time. Like I want to delete Chris and I want to delete our tester user, right? And you can just stack users up if you want to. That kind of defeats the purpose. This is even better. I want to choose users from a certain role. Like I want to delete all the editors or all of the custom role that you've defined users. Boom. That'll work. It'll work that way. Or you could say email is equal to something, or even better, email is like or contains some domain name or gmail.com or whatever. Or I want any user registered on a certain registration date. Or I can even do user meta. So if you have meta values on your user, you could delete any user that has that certain meta. So yeah, if you're using a last login plugin and you can find the meta field that's being attached to user meta to echo out that last login date, you could absolutely do it that way. Username is greater than date, less than date, whatever. So this will wipe out those users. But the nice thing is it also, even here in the title, gives you a preview. So once you get to see your matching criteria. So let's say we're going to say the user role is administrator. Let's see who matches. Boom, right there. Now notice my user didn't come up there because it won't let you delete the logged in user, which is, smart. But here's all the administrators on the site, right? It also lets you assign relevant content here if you want to in each of these users that pop up. Here's something else that's really cool. Whoops. About this plugin. You can also do some WooCommerce stuff. So look at this. Show me all the users that bought a certain product. I don't think anybody. Oh, yeah, I did buy that one. So you can search by what products they bought and delete those if you want to. It's pretty neat. So you have a lot of functionality here and a preview to make sure you get it right before you actually delete the users. So that is user bulk delete with preview. Obviously, deleting is deleting, and so make sure you have a backup before you would use a plugin like this, of course. But pretty neat. Questions, comments about this one? This is a good tool. You're right, Doug. All righty, wrapping up this list is a fun little plugin called User Access Shield Pro. User Access Shield Pro. Now, this one is super helpful. Nixon, have you used this one? That's pretty good. Fairly new plugin. So what it lets you do is deactivate a user's account without deleting the user's account. So for example, say you have a membership site or something like that where for some reason the user shouldn't be logging in right now. You can deactivate their account, but it doesn't delete their account. It simply prevents them from logging in. So with the plugin activated, let's go to our user screen and notice we have an account status, and then we have a definitely differently styled button. So let's just say like this person right here, they are currently deactivated. And now with a celebration, they are active. So if we were to try, I think I remember the password for this user. Let's log in here. Well, first, let's deactivate this test account. So this user is currently deactivated. No email is sent. They will notice that the next time they try to log in, I think that was the password. Yes. Okay, look, account disabled by administrator. Now we change that email address, but they get this notice and they're prevented from logging in. When you activate the account, it just pretends like that never happened. So notice I was actually logged in. It's running me through the solid security two-factor setup. I was actually logged in. It was just preventing me from actually accessing the site. Isn't that interesting? So that is User Access Shield Pro, and it allows you to prevent users accessing your site without deleting, for example, course progress or content they've posted or anything like that. Pretty cool, pretty useful. Questions or comments about this one? Vern, yeah, there's not a free version. This is the free version. Maybe they're going to do something with that later. I don't know. Oh, the other thing that's really cool about this plugin is unlike some others, like if you were to just change their password or something, their session would stay active. When you deactivate that user's session with that button, it actually terminates the session so that even if that user is logged in some browser someplace, the session is terminated. They cannot log in. They lose access immediately, which is kind of neat. All right. So this month, not a lot of big plugins like usual. This may be related to a couple of things. The lack of not quite as much work doing in the plugin directory after Automatic pulled back their funding for people. Also, the freeze over the holidays when the plugin directory went offline. Anyway, mostly toolbox type plugins this month, but nevertheless, still some good ones. So let's end our plugin roundup with the question we always ask, which is, what is your favorite plugin in the roundup? Let me hear from you there in the chat. Your favorite plugin, one vote only, please. And we will collect these for use in our best of plugin roundup coming up in June. Let's see. Bulk delete users. Heading ID, deblocks, exclude, debug. Oh, it's all over the place. All over the place. All right, so lots of votes for lazy load. Lots of votes for user delete. And if you missed the link bundle, there it is. Bulk delete users, lazy load, I think are our two winners. Scrolling back up. Yeah, I think, those two. Lazy load and bulk delete users. Couple of good ones. All right. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me for the last hour or so, 51 minutes, looking at our plugin list for February. Again, we are back tomorrow, as I mentioned, with the Solid Security Setup Clinic with David Johnson. The link there is in the chat if you want to join us. We'll have the replay of this up in about an hour if you want to share it with somebody. And until next time, have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you back tomorrow on Solid Academy, where we go further together.